Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West
Very
Texas.
helpful for us to be able to, as a community, come together and go and reach out to other FFA classes and chapters that are in need, especially in this trying time.
And so we're trying to help out people in FFA because that's what FFA is about. So we love to help other districts that we can do, and we've reached out to a couple of them.
Midland Legacy students are helping FFA chapters in the Panhandle after the Smokehouse Creek fires have destroyed their barns and stables. We have that full story coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks so much for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Mary Kate Hamilton in for Lauren Munn. We start tonight with a story that's all new at 9. This Odessa woman, Megan Lang, will spend the rest of her life in prison for strangling her 8-year-old son to death. Her son was malnourished and weighed only 35 pounds at the time of his murder. A forensic pathologist ruled the cause of the death was asphyxiation by manual strangulation with underlying causes of neglect. She was found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to life without parole today in an Ector County court. And in Hobbs, New Mexico, Hobbs police responded to the freshman high school. That's where a student was stabbed after a fight broke out in the boys' locker room. When a teacher tried to break up the fight, it was found one of the students involved had been stabbed. He was flown to an Odessa hospital for further treatment. The student who stabbed him has been arrested and charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and unlawful carrying of a deadly weapon. This investigation is ongoing. We have more crime. A Mexican woman pled guilty in a federal court in Pecos for attempting to sell fentanyl and methamphetamine in the U.S. 37-year-old Sandra Araceli Diaz-Vazquez was pulled over for a traffic stop in Colorado City in December. Officers searched her car and found over 20 kilos of meth and 5 kilos of fentanyl hidden in the gas tank. Diaz-Vazquez faces 10 years to life in prison and a $10 million fine. Her sentencing will be May 29th. In Big Spring, the Big Spring Police Department has arrested 2 teens in connection to a fire that happened last July. You'll remember last summer, officers responded to the Dora Roberts Community Center after they got a call that a building was on fire. When police arrived, the center was engulfed in flames. The investigation led to the arrest of a 15 and 16-year-old. Both teenagers have been charged with arson and criminal mischief of a car and are being held at the Howard County Juvenile Probation Office. Like we told you, Midland Legacy FFA is collecting donations from the community to help the people in need in the Panhandle. Tomorrow, they'll send a trailer full of supplies for agriculture students north. The Legacy FFA students saw on social media that the FFA students in the Panhandle lost their agriculture barns and their livestock in the fire. When they heard about how the FFA chapters in the Panhandle lost those things, the students came together to help.
When there's a need for help, you reach out and you do what you can, and I've been very proud of these kiddos. They've jumped in.
The Legacy FFA students said this is just one way they're stepping up to help those affected. The trailer will begin their journey to the Panhandle tomorrow morning. Of course, our thoughts remain with those there in the Panhandle. Let's take a look at the weather here and check in with Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller. Tom?
Yes, it was a wintry day across West Texas. In the Panhandle, they saw 3 to 6 inches of snow and much colder weather helping firefighters today. So a little good news there. We saw temperatures into the low to mid 50s out there as we had a few clouds hang around. That rain early this morning kept temperatures down. When we broke into the sunshine, we're up to 59 in Fort Stockton and the lower 60s back into the mountain areas in the Presidio Valley. And as you can see, things have really cleared out this evening. So we're looking at temperatures a little on the chilly side. Tall city skyline right now, 49 degrees there in Midland, 48 over towards Odessa. So you can see things are starting to cool off once again across the area, but a warm up is on the way. In fact, west to southwest winds should have us pushing 80 plus this weekend.
It is officially the largest wildfire in Texas history. The Smokehouse Creek fire has devastated communities in the Panhandle, and it's a situation that makes you think about how easily disaster can strike. Though we don't have control over wildfires or what's currently happening in Hemphill County, we do have control over what happens inside our own homes. That's why it's important to take preventative measures within your household and have a plan in case of emergency. This plan should outline evacuation routes, designated meeting points, and essential items to grab in case of a rapid evacuation order.
Call 911 and then have a plan set with your family so that way there's no hesitation, there's no confusion as to what you're going to do.
Community awareness and education play a huge role in preventing and responding to house fires. All these things can improve preparedness to respond in a crisis. So do your part and plan ahead. A bull is loose in the city of Midland, but it's not the four-legged friend we all know about. It's another candidate for the Midland City Council at-large seat. James R. Bull Henry was the first person to file for the seat. He says if elected, he'll make being an advocate for the community his full-time job. Henry has previously ran for positions in Midland County, and he says his previous experience running campaigns has taught him more, and he's ready for what's to come. Henry says everything is a priority, but there are some needs like public safety and quality of life that are essential. Henry came to Midland in 1980 to work as a carpenter and built homes and apartments across Midland. He also worked for High Sky Children's Ranch for 12 years. Now the Bull wants to work for the citizens.
I'll be a full-time council member. My job will be Midland. My business will be Midland. I don't own any businesses or interest either. And so I will be fully 100% for the citizens of Midland.
Henry also says new projects like the zoo and the Santa Rita Hotel are great for the city. And he says even Bass Pro Shops is something he's happy about because all of West Texas can enjoy it. Tomorrow, we'll introduce you to our final candidate for the vacant Midland City Council at-large position, Eric Davidson. To hear more about Henry and what the other candidates had to say, you can go to our website, CBS7.com. Some people in Midland with outstanding citations or warrants can resolve their issues without fear of arrest next week. The court compliance drive is set for March 4th through the 8th, but Midland Municipal Court is a safe harbor court year-round. Next week, court officers will make an extra effort to enforce outstanding warrants. The court will help people plead, appear in court, or set up payment plans. In lieu of payment, community service is another option. This month, the court sent emails, texts, and postcards to people with warrants, and so far, they've already resolved 700 situations. They hope to beat last year's compliance drive total of 2,000 resolved issues.
Before you arrive next week, give us a call. That way, if you need to bring anything, we can let you know what the judge may require of you. Don't wear shorts, especially if the weather's going to be nice next week, because we can't let you into the courtroom. Other than that, just come in. We want to get you in compliance so that that fear of arrest is gone.
Their main goal is to remove fear from the court process and help people follow the law and resolve those warrants. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump both at the southern U.S. border today. Border policy is shaping up to be a key factor in the 2024 race for president. CBS7's Washington News Bureau correspondent Brandon Cullerton reports.
It's a showdown at the border in the race for the White House. As President Joe Biden works to revamp border policy, Donald Trump slams him on immigration.
Biden went to the Supreme Court.
Up first in the presidential border debate, Donald Trump. After touring the border city of Eagle Pass with Texas Governor Greg Abbott, the former president pinned record immigration squarely on the shoulders of the current president.
This is a Joe Biden invasion. This is a Biden invasion over the past 3 years. I call him Crooked Joe because he's crooked. He's a terrible president, the worst president our country's ever had.
Trump has made immigration policy a central focus of his 2024 campaign. He says lax border policy leads to drug smuggling and increased crime.
Crooked Joe is the blood of countless innocent victims. It's so many stories to tell, so many horrible stories.
Just moments after Trump's speech, Biden took to the podium in Brownsville, Texas. Biden also met with Border Patrol agents and says he's been pushing for new border policy that requires funding from Congress.
They desperately need more resources. They need more agents, more officers, more judges, more equipment in order to secure our border. Folks, it's time for us to move on this.
Biden spoke to Trump directly, saying the former president's opposition to a bipartisan border compromise is responsible for it stalling out in the House.
The majority of Democrats and Republicans in both houses support this legislation. until someone came along and said, don't do that, it'll benefit the incumbent. That's a hell of a way to do business in America for such a serious problem. We need to act.
Biden is also expected to address the border during the State of the Union next Thursday. In Washington, I'm Brennan Cullerton.
A state law allowing Texas police to arrest people on suspicion of their citizen status has been blocked by a federal judge. Today, senior U.S. District Judge David Ezra sided with the Biden administration and immigrant advocates to grant the injunction of a law dubbed SB 4. Representative Brooks Landgraf believes this is just a last-minute speed bump as Texas addresses border issues.
In the absence of federal action, we have fentanyl that's pouring in to our state and throughout the country. We have human beings being trafficked and smuggled here in Texas and throughout the country. And Texas, being the front line of defense, bears the cost and the burden of all of this criminal activity. If we don't get the help from the Biden administration that we have to have, then it's incumbent upon us as a state to do that.
Judge Ezra wrote that the injunction is necessary because the law would allow Texas to permanently supersede the U.S. government's immigration powers. Attorney General Ken Paxton immediately filed an appeal of the ruling, and while the law is stopped for now, it is not a final decision. Still ahead, today is a special day. Some might even call it a holiday. We're telling you everything you need to know about Leap Day up next. February 29th only comes once every 4 years. But why does it only come once every 4 years? CBS7's Tyler Poglich did the research and breaks down why this day is the Leap Day. And more importantly, how do people with a February 29th birthday celebrate? Tyler?
Of the 8 billion people on Earth, only an estimated 5 million people share a Leap Day birthday. They are known as Leaplings. Dom, Alvaro, and Darlene all share a special bond with one another, and that bond comes from each of them being a Leapling.
I just remember every 4 years having to wait and making it the best that we could in celebrating.
I guess it's like any other day other than when it's your birthday and you don't have an actual birthday.
Because I think I'm special.
Darlene and Alvaro have been on the earth for 60 years, but have only been able to celebrate their special day 15 times, which for both of them, they're taking advantage of.
Well, I'm really excited that I get a second chance in having a quinceañera. I didn't have one when I was born, but now I can make up for it.
I've had 15 birthdays, which is my, or at least I like to call it my quinceañero, or my, you know how they have these quinceañeras. Well, this one's for a man, so.
And despite Darlene and Alvaro celebrating their 15th birthday, Dom is only celebrating number 2.
To feel like I'm special.
A birthday for people born on February 29th, it only comes once every 4 years. But why does it only occur that often? It all comes down to how long it takes for the Earth to orbit the Sun. And we all know that Earth takes 365 days to orbit the Sun, but it actually takes a little longer.
Now, back around 45 BC, there was the Julian calendar named after Julius Caesar that the Romans developed that decided to go ahead and add a leap year every 4 years, because if we went ahead and did a normal 365-day year and didn't have a leap year, over time, our calendar would actually start moving differently than the seasons. We could have summer in December, for example, eventually.
Back when the Julius calendar was followed, it was believed that it took 365.25 days for Earth to orbit the Sun. In reality, it actually takes 365.242 days. That's why we follow the Gregorian calendar, where every 100 years we skip a leap year to make sure the seasons don't shift, but every 400 years we keep a leap year for the same reason.
So every 400 years, for example, the year 2000, we get that leap year back. And it's a lot to keep track of, but it is one of the best ways in order to keep track of basically keep our calendar synced up with the rotation of the planet.
Luckily, we're not skipping this leap year, so all leaplings get to celebrate today.
I just feel blessed. I feel blessed that I do get to celebrate it every 29th, every 4 years. So it's all right, I guess.
But for Alvaro, he's celebrating his 15th birthday in Sin City.
With it being your 15th birthday, how do you expect to get into any casinos or bars later this afternoon or night?
The gray hair helps.
And for all those celebrating their real birthdays today, happy birthday, especially for one lucky family. Behind me is Sailor Ray Ward, who was born this morning at 6:10 a.m. Happy birthday, Sailor. Reporting for CBS7 First Alert News, I'm Tyler Poglich.
And it was a little chilly, but seasonal, though, for this leap day here in 2024. Looks like as we start the month of March, we're going to see things warm up a little bit. We'll talk about all that up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Pretty quiet out there across West Texas and southeast New Mexico. As we look at current temperatures, it's chilly, but really what you expect this time in February across West Texas as we're still in the winter season. So temperatures need to be a little bit on the chilly side. Still hanging on to 61 down in Terlingua, 53 in Fort Stockton, 47 though cooling off in Pecos. And that's what we have across the Permian Basin into southeast New Mexico as we say goodbye to this storm system here, moving off to the north and northeast. We're looking back further off to the west. A little ridge of high pressure right here across the Intermountain West and the Four Corners area. That's going to move across next couple of days. Keep things a little bit warmer, but keep the weather pretty quiet. We're watching this trough of low pressure, though, across the western U.S. That's going to swing through with some gusty winds and another front late in the weekend into the early part of next week. But overall, though, if you're making plans outdoors this weekend, make a trip, anything like that, we're going to see some pretty nice weather out there. Most of the showers are now moving in across portions of northeast Texas, lining up from around areas Sherman back over towards Canton, Tyler, down into the piney woods of East Texas at the present time. West Texas, we're pretty quiet, a couple of high clouds here and there, but high temperatures we saw today across West Texas again into the lower 50s across many locations. Firefighters getting a breakup in Amarillo. 40 degrees is what they saw today, with about 3 to 6 inches of snow in some locations across the Texas Panhandle. So a welcome change over the very dry, windy conditions they had been dealing with. We're not going to see too much in the skies across West Texas. Things look pretty quiet here over the next 24 hours. So again, smooth sailing into the weekend. Rest of tonight, it's going to be a little chilly. We'll drop down into the upper 30s under generally clear skies overnight tonight. Southwest winds start to move in tomorrow, so that's going to warm temperatures up by about 20 degrees or so over what we saw today, as some areas will be pushing 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Everybody gets in on the 80s, it looks like, coming up on Saturday, so almost hot out there. And then here comes the breeze in the forecast ahead of the next storm system and cold front. It's going to increase fire danger concerns, but also keep mild to warm temperatures in our forecast.
2,000 socks, or 1,000 pairs. That's how many got donated to the Salvation Army today. We have the story up next. United Supermarkets and Market Street donated 1,000 pairs of socks to the Salvation Army of Midland and Odessa today. The large donation is thanks to the Apples and Pears on a Mission initiative. The campaign happens every year, and the socks will be donated to shelters throughout West Texas. Captain Robert Corriston says this program matters because something as small as socks can make a huge difference in someone's life. The inaugural Chef Showdown, hosted by the Nonprofit Management Center, was today. The fundraising event features a live cook-off between well-known local chefs and live music and an auction. The event is to benefit nonprofits throughout the Permian Basin, and the chefs were competing for the Golden Skillet. So, who took that skillet home? Drumroll, please. We've got your answer.
Time to announce your Golden Skillet winner, and the winner is
Chef John, Midland Meat Company has
Yay, so fun. And that was, of course, our very own Hannah Burbank and Matthew Alvarez. Congratulations to Chef John. Look, people love Midland Meat Company, and people love Half Acre, and he cooked Wagyu. I mean, how can that not? That sounds pretty good, you know?
We heard some of the menu selections, and they sounded just scrumptious,
I know.
I tell you, good stuff there. Well, the weather's pretty good stuff, especially this weekend. Planning something outdoors, the weather's your friend this weekend, as we'll see those temperatures mid to upper 70s to near 80 plus coming up on Saturday and Sunday. A little bit breezy by Sunday afternoon, so keep that in mind, as overall pretty quiet weather pattern settling into next week.
And a gorgeous Friday tomorrow. We may have to play hooky, Tom. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. No one tell our bosses. Thanks so much for watching CBS 7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW. We've got more news coming up tonight on CBS 7 News at 10.